So RBA analyst Stephen A. Smith / podcaster / ESPN anchor Stephen A. Smith crashes out on LeBron James. Stephen A. Smith puts LeBron James on the operating table and surgically snatches his heart right up out of his steroid chest, allegedly. Stephen A. Smith goes RBA young boy on LeFun boy James and let LeBron James know who really doing the shot calling in the media now. Stephen A. Smith transforms back into a YN with a receding hairline. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen A. Smith opens fire and blazes on LeBron James. I'm talking about the Glock with the switch. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen A. Smith goes final boss level mode on LeBron James, aka LeGangsta-licious James. But Stephen A. Smith says there is absolutely no way that LeBron James can be the GOAT over Michael Jordan, and that LeBron James will never stand a chance at surpassing MJ in the GOAT discussion. But here's what Stephen A. Smith had to say. This article is per the Big League via MSN Sports, and the headline reads, Stephen A. Smith takes another shot at LeBron James in the RBA GOAT debate. Stephen A. Smith still doesn't like LeBron James and the sky is blue. Well, whoop-de-doo is what they're saying. But it says, since the RBA superstar checked the ESPN analyst courtside last season, they've had issues. It's widely understood that James did so because of Smith's comments about his parenting, but Stephen A. has maintained it's about something else. The article goes on to say LeBron James is a fundamental part of the RBA GOATs debate. Whether it's him or Michael Jordan is a topic that has extensively dominated basketball discourse. While he doesn't have the 6 championships MJ did, his case has been made by absurd longevity and statistical dominance. But Stephen A. insists that it isn't enough. Stephen A. Smith went on to say, quote, I'm doubling down on that, Smith said on the Ball in the Family podcast. Who the hell doesn't know that? You're in your 23rd year and you're accumulating all of these stats, but you ain't winning another MVP and you ain't winning another finals. So you're there because you're going to accumulate these numbers, end quote. He goes on to say, we don't look at the Lakers and see a championship team. You ain't beating Oklahoma City. You ain't beating Denver either. Just understand, it doesn't buy you GOAT status. You're not getting that, Stephen A. Smith says. But Stephen A. Smith is correct. LeBron James, even with all the money in the world, you can't just walk into some goat farm and pay them to alter your DNA to turn you into a GOAT just so you can say that you're a GOAT over Michael Jordan. Like, I'm actually a real GOAT. That is something that you would do because you desperately want to find ways to say that you're better than Michael Jordan. In other words, Stephen A. Smith is saying this. He can't be bought. I was only calling you the GOAT because ESPN paid my colleagues to call you the GOAT. And early on, at the height of ESPN First Take, we unknowingly got paid to talk about LeBron James 24/7 and constantly compare you to Michael Jordan so that it keep your name in the news cycle and so that millions of people would believe that you're the closest thing to Michael Jordan and that you're somehow, if not the greatest player of all time, you're the second greatest player of all time. But the closest player that we've ever seen to Michael Jordan is Kobe Bryant, by far. Stephen A. Smith was fooled just like everybody else. Media manipulation 101. It happens to the best of them. Even the person who wrote this article is still brainwashed. Like, this is not even professional journalism. This is biaslism. And I'm just paraphrasing, but he says, oh, Stephen A. Smith is only going at LeBron James like this is because LeBron James checked Stephen A. Smith at a game for talking about his son. But LeBron James ain't never checked a single soul a day in his life. LeBron James was about to poop his panties when he seen Kevin Gates at the game. The same man and Kevin Gates who prayed over a woman's dead battery in her car and magically, mysteriously, her car started up. So LeBron James don't want them type of problems with guys like that. And LeBron James, he places his son in the spotlight and he gets all this attention. This is what he wanted for him, but he doesn't want his son to get any criticism. It's not like Stephen A. Smith wished harm on the kid. He just said he sucked, which he does. But back to the topic at hand. I 100,000,000% agree with Stephen A. Smith that LeBron James will never be able to surpass Michael Jordan on the greatest of all time list. He never will be greater than Michael Jordan. And honestly, I'm just patiently waiting for Stephen A. Smith to admit that LeBron James is not even a better player than Kobe Bryant, nor is LeBron James a top 5 player in NBA history. LeBron James has 4 rings in 22 or 23 years. It's unacceptable, and it disqualifies LeBron James from the RBA Mount Rushmore. People will say, oh, well, what's the difference between LeBron James and Kobe? Kobe Bryant has only won 5 championships in 20 years. Well, the difference is LeBron James played with multiple super teams. Are we forgetting that? LeBron James has had a better supporting cast throughout his entire career than Kobe Bryant. Then they overhype LeBron James in his first stint with the Cavs and say, oh, well, LeBron James carried trash teams to the finals. Well, first and foremost, they weren't really trash players. They weren't really trash teams. And more importantly, LeBron James played in the weak East. You seen what happened when LeBron James came out West. In LeBron James' first season with the Lakers, why he didn't carry Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram and those guys to the finals like he did the year before when he played with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Don't worry, I'll wait. I'll wait for the excuses. LeBron James has had more star players on his tenure with the Lakers than his tenure with the Miami Heat. Why hasn't LeBron James three-peated? All LeBron James has to hold on to and to feel proud about is that Walt Disneyland World Bubble Championship that nobody respects except for the LeBron James fanboys. Talking about it's the hardest championship ever. How? Because LeBron James won it? I guarantee you, if anybody else would have won it, they would have said that was the easiest championship ever. Easier than getting LeBron James to go to a Diddy party. If Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan had LeBron James teams, especially in Miami and his second stint with the Cavs, which LeBron James just act like that never existed, MJ and Kobe would have to literally try to fit all of their championship rings on all 10 of their fingers. It'd just be too many. But LeSharman James never faced the same obstacles as Kobe and Jordan. You think coming back from being down 3-1 in the RBA Finals, which the league removed the team's best player in Draymond Green at the time and Steph Curry in the next game, but considering all that, you think that's more difficult than coming back when your father passes away? You think coming back in the finals is harder than to come back from 8 allegations like Kobe had to endure? You think that's harder or more difficult? LeBron James didn't have to face those obstacles and had to go through none of that because he's always had the media to protect him. He always can count on having that fake cleaned up image that he had to portray. But Kobe and Jordan were really themselves. But LeBron James will never be top 10, top 20, not top 30. Hell, he probably never even be top 100. Way too many asterisks, people. Way too many. And until Stephen A. Smith realizes and understands the truth, then his hairline is never going to grow back, ladies and gentlemen. He'll always have the receding hairline.